Abraham Lincoln's life. He was born on 12 February 1809 and he grew up in a situation of poverty in Kentucky and Indiana. He worked as a lawyer in Illinois. He became a Whig Party leader and he also worked as a USA congressman. The life. Lincoln preserved the federal unity of the nation and defeated the Confederate States of America in the American Civil War. He won a national recognition because he helped with the organization of the anti-slavery Republican Party. In fact, his party received the nomination for the presidency in 1860. Lincoln's victory promoted 7 southern slave states to form the Confederate States of America, and after he moved into White House. The last period. Lincoln was a commander-in-chief during the following resort to arms, and he also held together a fragile war coalition. He kept military pressure on the Confederacy across a broad front to prevent the intervention of foreign power. Lincoln preserved the federal unity of the nation and defeated the Confederate States of America in the American Civil War. He was re-elected to the presidency at the end of the war. He was assassinated in April 1865 by John Wilkes Booth, a Southern fanatic. The Lincoln Memorial. The Lincoln Memorial is a monument built to honor the 16th President of the United States, and it's located on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. It was created by the architect Henry Bacon, while Daniel Chester French made the largest seated statue of Lincoln. 1863. The Gettysburg Address. It was delivered by Lincoln during the Civil War in 1863 at the dedication of the Soldiers' Nation Cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He invoked the principle of human equality contained in the Declaration of Independence. He said that the Civil War was a struggle for a new birth of freedom. He would create an unifying nation where the different states has the same right. There are some part of the speech. The American Civil War. The American Civil War was broke out in 1861 and it finished in the 1865 when the Blue Northern troops, commanded by Ulysses Grant, defeated the Gray Confederates led by Robert Lee. The consequences. The abolition of the slavery was sanctioned by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. But this didn't secure the equality and the economic security to blacks. They were free but without money and a home. Some of them migrated to the north in order to work in industrial cities, while others remained with their old masters in the south. A wave of resentment and violence embodied by the racist movement, the Ku Klux Klan, terrorized the black, who were segregated in school, hospital, and transports. The black codes were created. The American Dream. Despite the economic collapse in the South, in the North there were great fortunes. Big financial empires were created by men who rose from nothing. One of them, John Rockefeller, embodied a new version of the American dream, the myth of the self-made man who went from rags to riches. The majority of the workers were exploited, so they organized themselves and founded the American Federation of Labor, AFL, which became the strongest group of trade unions. The migration westwards. The discovery of the gold in California, the Gold Rush 1848, encouraged the expansion of the settlement in the West. Then the Homestead Act granted free soil to the first occupants. The migration westward led the disappearance of the frontier and to the examination of the buffaloes. The consequences was the starvation of the American Indians, who were subjugated, mass deported, or brutally exterminated. The cattlemen became the new Western symbols. The American Renaissance. The New England was the center of American cultural life. In the 19th century, in fact, a group of intellectuals and writers developed a movement, New England Renaissance. The term indicated the beginning of a truly American literature, with them and a style of its own. The new flourishing of American literature took place between 1813 and 1865. The most influential figure was Ralph Waldo Emerson, who expressed his philosophy, the transcendentalism. A phrase of Ralph Waldo Emerson is, "Do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail."
Transcendentalism. The key ideas of this were: all reality was seen as a single unity, contact with nature was the best means to reach truth and awareness of the unity of all things. The Oversoul was the spiritual principle linking everything together. Man was the emanation of the Oversoul. This philosophy encouraged an optimistic and self-reliant point of view. Herman Melville's life. He was born in New York in 1819. At the age of 12, he had to leave school because of father's death and his family difficult situation, so he took various jobs. In 1839, he sailed on a merchant ship, and in 1841 he sailed on his first voyage on ship Acushnet. In 1842 he spent some time in Marquesas Islands, where he came into contact with Yeps, a tribe thought to be cannibals. After, he escaped to Tahiti and to Hawaii, where he joined a U.S. ship and returned home. He died in 1891. Moby Dick. Herman Melville published Moby Dick, his masterpiece, in 1851. The characters: Hebb, the captain of the whaler Pequod, has devoted his life to hunting down and killing the white sperm whale, called Moby Dick, which had attacked him and bitten off his leg during a previous whaling expedition. The crew of the ship consists of a variety of human types: Starbuck, the superstitious, Quinquick, a Maori, and the cabin boy, Pip. Ismail, the narrator, joins them in Nantucket before the departure of the ship. The story. The story is based on the hunt of the whale. Finally, Hebb wants Moby Dick, but in its rage, the animal destroys the Pequod and its crew. Only God Ismail is not caught in the vortex of the sinking ship and manages to float upon a coffin. He survives to tell the story. Captain Hebb. About the character of Hebb there are different perspectives. Some thinks that this quest against the great whale is a blasphemous activity which takes two forms. The first is the idea that Hebb believes himself to be equal to God. The second is the reaction of God, altogether in favor of an alliance with the devil. He is also the voice of the instinctive spirituality of the new world which reacts to tyranny of nature over man. In this respect, Hebb is the American Prometheus, a tragic hero who looks for a real apocalypse and takes his crew with him in the final disaster. The white whale. Through Ismail's description of the sperm whale, Melvin approached the problem of its superiority over all other creatures. The excellence on the whale serves to place Hab's quest against Moby Dick as a very hard task in which he is doomed to failure. The white whale. Ismail defines the whiteness of the whale as an absence of color. This opens up a various interpretation for Moby Dick. It's more than a natural creature. Hab aids him as the personification of the devil in the world. It could also represent a sort of mirror in which Hab and his crew look for their own imaging. The white whale is also a symbol of the hidden and mysterious forces of nature, capable of sudden and incredible acts of destruction. Therefore, the hunt stands for the archetypal conflict between man and nature. Moby Dick, chapter 41. In this passage, Ismail describes to a white whale. He says why the whale is so frightening. It is a monster not only ubiquitous, but also immortal, because no spare looks really hurt him. The whale is frightening because of his malicious intelligence, which led him to launch the attack on the ship even when he seems to have been withdrawn. The whale he has also two main characteristics, the whiteness and the pyramidal hump. Ismail then tells how the whale has turned alike to Captain Hab. In fact, from that moment the captain began his ruthless hunt like a personal revenge.